So I think that, look, I would like to know what I'm doing right now and what I've been able to do in terms of my fee APR over maybe the last week or the last month, but a blended average for the entirety of the time that the position has been open and active, or actually it's not even just active, it's just open. Because if you open a position and sit out of range earning nothing for a month, and then all of a sudden the position is in range for a day doing 300% fee APR that day, the fee APR calculation here is not going to tell you you're doing 300%. It's going to blend it. So that's at least that's been my experience over here on Revert.
And do
There's
you
definitely an
happen to know
opportunity
how
to fix that.
often, David, do you happen to know how often they update that? Is that every minute, every day that they update the fee APR? Is
So
it
it seems as though it gets updated less frequently when you have an active borrow. So when you borrow against the LP on Revert, it seems as though it updates much less frequently. But when you don't have an active borrow, it looks like it updates, oh, I don't know, every 30 minutes or so, maybe something like that. Um, so it's not real time, definitely not real time. Okay, so let's see here. If I just take a look what I've got here, so I want to just make sure that I'm looking at the right one, and 11 and 28. And I want to go ahead and enter this position over on, I want to enter this on base. Okay, so I want to be short. I want to be short. I'm minus 23 and plus 11. So when I enter the LP, if I also bridge over ETH, I would need the LP plus the spot. I've got to borrow against it. Okay, so what I need to do first is I need to bridge. Yeah, go ahead, Blas. Yep.
So just back to the previous topic, I just looked at my UIG tracker, and that tells me that I've been in this position since December 3rd when you and I had that meeting. And it's done 48% according to this.
Got it.
So I think you're right. Revert is somehow downgrading us our APR or down averaging.
Well, so it could end up doing either. It could give you an average that is overstated, or it could give you an average that is understated. It just kind of depends how long the position has been open and, you know, how much you're earning today compared to how much you were earning in the past, if anything. So yeah, it can be overstated or understated. You really just kind of have to track your fee earnings, if not on a daily basis, then at least every couple of days. So yeah, let's see here. If I've got this short position, if the short position is minus, let's see here, right here, GMX. So if it's minus 23, if the short leg is minus 23, and I want to be something like minus 8 after I enter the LP. So if I'm minus 23 here and plus 11, if I swap half of this for ETH, then I'll have another couple deltas. So I would still end up being something like minus 13. So I would have to borrow against the LP and then swap for spot ETH so that I would have fewer short ETH deltas after opening the LP. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and start by bridging stables. So let's see here. I'm going to begin with, I can begin with this. It's probably a good idea just to bridge the whole thing at once. So I'm going to hop back in here to CalSwap. And the first thing I need to do is a little bit of math. So 52,000, and over here, this is 28. Okay, so 52 minus 28 is 24 divided by 3090 is 7.77. Got it. Okay, so on mainnet, I'm going to go ahead on mainnet and I'm going to swap some ETH for USDC, but I'm going to do this on CalSwap. So I'm going to do 7.7. Actually, you know what? 7.77. That's perfectly fine. Kind of like that number anyway. 7.77 into USDC. And by the time I open the position on base and borrow against it, by the time I complete all of these transactions, I should end up being like minus 10. And that's what I want. I want to be short. And part of the reason why I want to be short is because the S&P is putting in all-time highs. The S&P putting in fresh all-time highs tells me that, hey, you know what? It's we're in the second week in January, and I thought that the first 2 weeks in January would be up for equities markets. They have been, and I'm just thinking that maybe it's time for a little bit of a dip. I'm definitely not calling for some type of a crash or anything like that. I just think that, hey, you know what? Last time we got up above resistance up here, the S&P dipped by a couple of percentage points, and I think that probably makes a little bit of sense. Just give back a few points. But the fact that Bitcoin and ETH are not rallying at all, and in fact are selling off as the S&P, the Nasdaq, and the Russell, push to all-time highs, except for the Nasdaq. No fresh all-time highs for the Nasdaq yet. But because Bitcoin and ETH are not rallying, and in fact are dipping as equities are rallying, just kind of makes me think that if the S&P is putting in a fresh all-time high, well, the moment it starts to dip, I think that Bitcoin and ETH's move lower would just accelerate. So yeah, that's kind of how I want to play it. And that's why I want to maintain some short deltas here. Great. Okay. So now I've got enough USDC to open that position. I'm going to go ahead and select the USDC here. And I'm going to bridge this on over to the base chain. I'm going to bridge the maximum amount. So that looks like a pretty good swap. Review, looking good. Looks good. 46 seconds across API. Thank you very much across. And I'm going to go ahead and sign this transaction and bridge from mainnet to base. Yeah, go ahead, Blas.
Sorry, previously you mentioned that dbridge is the way to go for bridging, or is Uniswap now better, or why are you doing it in Uniswap?
So I really like dbridge if I want to bridge from an EVM chain to Solana or an
Oh, okay.
EVM chain to Sui, or there's a bunch of other chains you can bridge to.
Oh, okay.
But from EVM chain to EVN chain, I prefer across within Uniswap for the simple reason that not only are the swaps cheap and fast, but I trust Uniswap. And that matters a lot because anyone who was, full-time in DeFi in 2023 or even in 2024 remembers how terrifying bridging could be sometimes. It was one of the scariest transactions you would execute in DeFi. And trust goes a long way. So you see how it's pending and the balance just zeroed out over here on mainnet. Now, all I'm doing is waiting for those assets to land over on base. And it said, what, 50 seconds or so? So I'm just going to hang out here for a couple of seconds and wait for that to land. And it says swapped. Oh, and Jason, Sui's still not supported on dbridge. Yeah, so you would probably have to use change now or wormhole. Okay. So
Sui Bridge has I could send you the link to do that.
Yeah, so what do you guys think the future is for chains like Sui and Solana? I mean, when I was on DeFi Llama just the other day, taking a look at chains and DeFi TVL, I've been checking in on DeFi Llama, maybe not daily, but several times a week for, the last several years. And at one point, Ethereum's DeFi TVL was roughly 50%. I don't think it ever dipped under 50%, but it was about 50%. And now ETH mainnet's DeFi TVL is sitting at nearly 70%. And that doesn't even include the DeFi TVL on the EVM layer twos, which if you take a look at these layer twos, BNB chain, Arbitrum, AVAX C chain, OP, those are layer twos. So EVM chains dominate DeFi TVL. What do you think the future
total
is going to
should be
be?
almost like 80% EVM.
Right?